What up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your guy, Something. Hit the keys. Here today to talk about the huge divide in the producer community on Omnisphere 3. So it kind of seems like World War. Maybe that might be a little bit of a stretch, but there's opinions all over the board about Omnisphere 3 from people who have it, people who haven't got it, people who have never used Omnisphere, people who are thinking about getting it. So I thought in this video we would talk about some of those things, you know what I'm saying, and figure out maybe is Omnisphere for you or not. So let's just start right off. And does everybody need Omnisphere? Yes. No, I'm playing. No. Not everybody needs Omnisphere. So, I mean, if you're only sitting in the house and you're just producing tracks for yourself and you're not really invested in music, you probably don't need Omnisphere. You know what I'm saying? Or if you have a ton of sounds, you might not need Omnisphere. And we'll talk about more of that a little bit later. But if you are looking for a library that's got over, 40,000 sounds and 93 different effects, it's a great library. It's second to none. In my opinion, honestly, Omnisphere is the greatest plugin ever. That's just how I feel. And I won't change my opinions on that. So some of the things that some of the people who are commenting on Omnisphere 3 are saying is that the people who are giving it rave reviews and who are excited about Omnisphere are only excited about Omnisphere because they got a free copy of Omnisphere. And I think that's disingenuous and it's an unfair opinion to have because somebody like me, if you've been following the channel, I've been using Omnisphere ever since I started this channel. Omnisphere didn't give me Omnisphere 2 for free. So I did get Omnisphere 3, the update, but I was going to buy it anyway, and I was going to feel the same about it. Like, for a lot of us, Omnisphere 3 is basically GTA 6. We've been waiting for this to come out forever. So just to come over here and look real quick, this is the first video I ever put out on YouTube. Whew, it's looking rough. I was looking like a straight bum in this video. Wasn't even matching. But you see, I put this video out January 11th, 2020. And the plugins that I was using in this video was FL keys, because I ain't have nothing. All I had was Omnisphere in the Waves gold bundle. That's all I had when I started making YouTube videos. But you'll see the other plugin that I used is what? Omnisphere. Bro, they just gave me 2 commercial breaks on my own video, 15 seconds each. But here's what I was saying. What was the plugin I was using? Was Omnisphere, Omnisphere was the plugin that I was using from the beginning in all my production videos. And then as you look here, I actually bought 3 of the sonic extensions for Omnisphere. So I bought Unclean Machines, I bought Undercurrent, and I bought Nylon Sky. And I still all use all of them to this day. And I gave honest reviews on products that I've purchased, right? So I wouldn't say that every creator put together this glowing review of Omnisphere just because they got it for free, because some people did. I will say that some people didn't even, I mean, if you never had Omnisphere 2, you can't put together a realistic review on Omnisphere in 6 hours, right? Because it's too much stuff to go through. I've had Omnisphere for 6 years, so it was really easy for me to get Omnisphere 3 and put together a review because I still use it to this day. So then another thing that I hear is that it's got too many presets. It's it's got too many presets. That's like a legitimate complaint about Omnisphere 3. It has too many presets. That's like, think about a millionaire or a billionaire saying, "Up, I've got too much money, I've got too much wealth. Let's go ahead and stop making money today." Or think about a chef, "Oh my God, I've got too many ingredients to make a gourmet meal with. What am I gonna do?" That's like when I hear that, that's what it sounds like to me. Like, or somebody with what like Russia has all this land, but they still want Ukraine. I mean, I just, that one breaks me, man. Every time that one breaks me. I think a lot of times what I did with Omnisphere 2 was I sincerely spent a day or two and I just went through and I favorited all my sounds. Like for most people who have Omnisphere, it's not going to hurt you to not make a beat for a day or two. So you can go through all the sounds and pick your stuff out. And then they have match sounds, so it makes it easy for you to find the bell type or whatever it is that you're looking for. But complaining that you have too many quality sounds to choose from is a wild excuse, in my opinion, to not get Omnisphere. I ain't never opened up Omnisphere and started strumming through different presets and then was like, I got beat block because I was going through presets. I'm sorry, man. Ugh. And so Omnisphere does cost what, $499. So a lot of people say that it's too expensive. Okay. It's too expensive and that it's 61 gigabytes that they don't want to put on their computer. So when we think about pricing, let's think about Omnisphere, right? So Omnisphere again has 41,405 sounds, and Omnisphere also has 93 different effects that you can use third party. So you can use them in the effects rack and you can use them on other things, okay? Now, when we take a look at something like the V collection is typically $699, right? Nobody complains about the price on that. I'm not either. I absolutely love Arturia, great company. The V collection only has 2,000 presets in it over all those synthesizers, right? So the V collection costs $200 more than Omnisphere, but it has 38,000 less presets than Omnisphere. So that's just something that we have to think about. Because again, if you're a preset, somebody who just wants presets, you want the most amount of quality presets that you can get. Okay. And then they also have, the FX collection that has 34 different effects, right? So in order to kind of get what you're getting in Omnisphere, you have to buy both. One's 500, one's 700, and that's $1,200. Now, I will say this because I'm not here to just gas up something. And obviously, with the FX collection, you're going to be able to dive a lot deeper into the effects because they have a lot more control. And then with the V collection, you're going to be able to have more control over your synthesizers, and it does emulate a lot of old synths. So, you get a lot of control, a lot of playability. But when we're looking at it you get 38,000 quality more presets than you do in the V collection. So let's go to complete standard, right? So complete standard is $599. This isn't even the full version of complete. This is just the standard version, okay? With this, it does have, I think they say this has 50,000 presets in it. So I believe it has 50,000 presets in it. But it's 300 gigabytes, right? So another thing you got to think about for 10,000 extra presets, you're going to have to use 240 more gigabytes, right? So that's just something to think about when we're thinking about Omnisphere and all that other stuff, because I've seen some people on the internet talk smack about how they were clowning how Omnisphere figured out a new way to record and remaster their stuff. Well, clearly they did, because we've got twice as many presets in this new version and it's still the same size. So, I kind of don't get that. When we talk about Nexus, Nexus for $349, you get 6,800 presets. For $2,000, you get 31,000 presets, which is less than Omnisphere, and it's still an additional 210 gigabytes of samples. So when you're looking at price to comparison, I mean, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, you can get Serum, and Serum's half the price of Omnisphere, but it only has like 700 presets in it. So again, if you're somebody who's using presets and that's what you love and that's what you want to do, I wouldn't listen to somebody say that Omnisphere is not worth it, especially if they don't have Omnisphere 3 and they're not using any of the new features. Another thing that I hear is that the sounds in Omnisphere can get outdated. And what I'll say to that is the same people that say that some of these sounds sound outdated are the same people that are using these other plugins that are being sampled from old synthesizers and just have different effect chains on them. So you guys don't think people are still using the Prophet 10 to make presets for y'all and some of these plugins? You don't think people are using Jupiters and Junos, which are 20-year-old synths, 30-year-old synths? They're still using that stuff to make presets nowadays with different pedals, different effects, and different stuff like that. So nothing really gets outdated as long as you stay current with the way that you're processing your stuff, right? Nobody ever said a guitar sounds like it's outdated. Guitar has been around, a main instrument, for 100 years. Nobody ever says a piano sounds outdated. Piano has been around for how many years? Nobody says any of these other things, these sounds. A kick drum don't sound outdated. so on and so forth, the flute, whatever. Y'all get what I'm saying. So it's all about how you process your stuff and how you play your melodies. And then another one, they say that the GUI needs to be updated, but typically most plugins, they don't update their GUIs all the way, because they want the GUI to be familiar for the user to be able to get right in and go. So Serum, yeah, it changed, but it didn't change a whole lot. Falcom changes, but it doesn't change a whole lot every year. Pigments changes, but it doesn't change a whole lot whenever, you get to update. So these plugins, when they're getting updates or they're going to the next versions, most plugins don't get a whole GUI overhaul because that's too much for the user. Nobody wants to get a plugin and not know how to use it, especially if it's something that they've had for a while. This next one I think is kind of laughable. I heard this one and it was hardware can do way more than Omnisphere. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that because Omnisphere has 93 effects in it, right? So we're talking about for $500. So if you're going to be like, just to say something like, oh, well, you can get a synthesizer in it. What kind of synthesizer? So what are we talking about? You're going to get a Take 5? That's a $1,600. That's a $1,600 synthesizer, right? Omnisphere is $500. So if you don't even have hardware to start with and you've never messed with hardware, but you make beats using software, hardware is not going to be the answer over Omnisphere. And that's somebody who owns hardware, owns Omnisphere, and owns all these plugins, right? It's not that's like one of the worst takes I ever hear, because if you have Omnisphere, you're not probably looking to have a synthesizer. You're looking for presets, a little bit of synthesis, and all the effects and all the other stuff, the arpeggiator, everything else that comes with Omnisphere. So what synth for $500 are you gonna get? I'm being real. That's comparable to Omnisphere. Like, I mean, I would need that answer. Nobody's gonna be able to answer that though. There's no synth out there that's gonna be comparable to Omnisphere for $500. Although I think hardware typically sounds better than software, Omnisphere sounds just as good as most hardware. And then the last thing I've heard and I've read in people's comment sections are, I bought Omnisphere 2 and I don't use it. Nigga, that's your fault. I mean, I can't put it no other way than that. Nigga, that's your fault. That is your fault. How you buy Omnisphere and not use it? Like, I couldn't see spending $500 on something and then not using it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it goes back to that I just, that's on you. If you didn't take time to discover your plugin, that's on you. That's the same thing that happens with a lot of people who buy gear and they end up getting rid of it because they didn't spend the time using it. I don't play my guitar the most. I'm thinking about getting rid of it. I probably won't because people use it when they come over here, but it's my fault that I'm not good at the guitar. I have a bunch of keyboards and I can barely play keys. It's my fault I can't play keys better because I don't practice them enough, It's the same thing. If you buy a good plugin, but you don't figure it out, if you buy pigments and you don't figure it out and you don't use it because you don't just like the presets, it's not Pigment's fault that you didn't use the synthesizer for what it's designed to use the synthesizer for. So, I mean, again, I don't think that Omnisphere is for everybody. I mean, if you're just making music for fun and you don't really have money to just throw away, then Omnisphere is not for you. If you are a serious producer and you're trying to make money off of Omnisphere, you don't have, or make a lot of money off music or some money off music, let's not say a lot. Omnisphere might be the tool you need because it can help you identify good sounds right away. It'll help you figure out the bad sounds you were using before versus the good sounds you're using now. All you got to do is switch in some of these synths with some like stock sounds that you have, and it's going to make your beat immediately sound better. Immediately. But again, if you have, let's say you have complete collector's edition, you might not need Omnisphere, because you have so many sounds, if you have, if you have Analog Labs and you have FX Collection, maybe you don't need Omnisphere, and that's cool. But I wouldn't listen to all the people on the internet who don't have Omnisphere talk smack about Omnisphere. I respect certain people's opinions. Some people who did have it before, they're talking about they're not going to buy it in the future, or they got it and they weren't that impressed. That's cool. They're giving you an honest opinion. But for people just to be like, oh, you don't need it, or all this and that, and they ain't even used it, is just blasphemy to me. I don't know, man. So I just kind of wanted to come here and talk about some of the points both ways because, again, I mean, it's my favorite plugin. I think it's the GOAT, but there's been a lot of divide in the producer community, so I just wanted to address it. So make sure if you guys do like this content, though, you drop a whole elbow on that like button, hit subscribe and that notification bell, so every time we bring you guys a new video, you can be the first to see. I appreciate you guys' time as always, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.